Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. What is Dreamforce without some technical difficulties? So I am down here. My name is Sunday Parker. I'm an accessibility evangelist.
And I'm Adam Rodenbeck. I'm an accessibility specialist.
Adam and I are both joining you here today from our product accessibility team at Salesforce, and we're really excited to share with you how we're driving equality through our products.
Come here, buddy.
But before we get too far, just a quick note that this presentation will contain forward-looking statements, and all purchasing decisions should be made on offerings that are currently available. So let's dive in. We have a packed agenda today. First, I'm going to go over a bit about what accessibility is, introduce you to our team, and share with you our commitment to accessibility. I'll then be passing it over to Adam for a screen reader demo, go over our Salesforce Lightning design system, and next steps. To get started, let's talk about what accessibility is as it relates to the digital space. Accessibility is ensuring people with disabilities have full and equal access to the web or mobile application. A fundamental part of this is ensuring that content can be digested, but also that, for example, a screen reader user can navigate easily around the page and interact with elements such as editing a field or adding a comment to their colleague on Chatter. Here at Salesforce, we're fortunate to have a team of dedicated accessibility engineers and specialists. The majority of members in our team focus on one particular cloud, such as Adam here, who focuses on Sales Cloud. We support thousands across our technology and product organization. And in order to scale accessibility across all of Salesforce, we serve as advisors so that every single engineer and designer is empowered to own accessibility within their product. What's really exciting about this slide is that 1 year ago, it would have looked a lot differently. And that's because over the last few months, we've nearly doubled as a team thanks to our leadership's commitment to investing in accessibility. But we also have a commitment to you, our customers. And it's quite simple, really. We will provide accessible applications that are accessible to everyone. So how do we accomplish this? Well, we design with accessibility in mind from the start, and we thread these standards throughout our ideation, design, development, and testing of our products. If you think about the process of building a skyscraper, you would never add an elevator in after the building has already been constructed. You would build the frame right in from the start. This is the same way we think about accessibility in the beginning of the design process. But designing accessible products is an ongoing journey, and we are never really finished. We are constantly evolving and adding new innovative features along the way, features that we want to ensure are accessible and stay accessible. I'm going to share with you a typical timeline of how our accessibility team works with a product team to ensure accessibility. Cordelia here is an engineer dedicated to Service Cloud. The Service Cloud team is looking to build out a new feature, and they reach out to her to find out how they can make their new feature accessible. After some feedback on the design, they're ready to start building, and their engineering team reaches out for a consultation. In this meeting, they're going to discuss development and testing plans for Cordelia to review. And finally, along the way, she'll conduct ongoing checks with the team as needed. And finally, the team will schedule a third-party accessibility audit of their product to review any bugs and then publish these findings so that everyone has access into the accessibility status of their product. In addition to accessibility consultations, like the example I just showed, we also offer training, which coincides with our release cycle, to provide ongoing education and awareness to engineers and designers. During a release, our team will conduct 3 to 4 training sessions, which are open to everyone at Salesforce. An introduction to accessibility training, great for new members to our Ohana, an engineering and designer training, as well as a testing for accessibility training. In addition, we also offer weekly open office hours for those who may have specific use cases where they can get one-on-one support. And since we love drinking our own champagne here at Salesforce, we also use Chatter to collaborate internally and a coding for accessibility trail to train our engineers and designers on how to build accessible products. So why do we care so deeply about this here at Salesforce? In the next couple of slides, I'm going to go over 3 big ideas that help drive thoughtful and inclusive design practices. These are equality, you, our customers, and finally, the user experience. So let's dive in. Equality is one of our core values, and we believe that business can be a platform for positive change. We're building accessible products because it is fundamentally the right thing to do. I'm aware, as a person with a disability employed at a technology company like Salesforce, that I am the exception and not the rule. The employment rate for people with disabilities is only 36%. 1 in 4 of us are living at or below the poverty rate, and of the incarcerated prison population, inmates are 3 times as likely to report having 1 or more disabilities. Building accessible products is the most tangible way to embed equality right into the products that we create. We understand as a company that there is a significant equality gap for minorities. And as our Chief Equality Officer, Tony Profit, says, businesses need to focus on closing this gap. In addition to providing an accessible platform, we're also empowering you, our customers, to hire stronger and more diverse teams. People with disabilities are the largest minorities, with 1 in 5 Americans having a disability. These are both your customers and your potential colleagues. The aging population is expected to double by 2050. While getting older and disability are not always connected, with age comes a greater likelihood of having a disability. Not only are we all aging, but people are staying in the workforce longer, and by 2022, American workers aged 50 and up will make up 35% of our workforce. And also by 2022, the Salesforce ecosystem is expected to add 3.3 million jobs to our economy. This is a significant opportunity to close the under and unemployment gap for people with disabilities. And finally, I want to shift our focus to the user experience. If we take a look at the chart on the left at a few of the inclusive design principles, we see here that the features that build accessible products are really just the building blocks for making products that are more usable by everyone. For example, we all want products that add value, are consistent, and can be used in different situations. If we take a look at the chart on our right, our friends at Microsoft have created this inclusive design personas for permanent, temporary, and situational disabilities. If we take a look at the hearing column, you'll see here an individual who's deaf, a person with an ear infection, and a bartender in a noisy environment. All of these individuals would benefit from closed captioning. So accessibility is not just for people with disabilities. At some point in our lives, we've all benefited from features made for accessibility. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Adam.
All right, thanks, Sunday. Today I want to go through a small demonstration of the accessibility that is built into Salesforce using some assistive technology called a screen reader. So one thing that's important to know is we didn't build a screen reader, but we've made the product workable with whatever assistive technology it is that you're using. So, and a screen reader is assistive technology which reads aloud with a synthesized voice everything that's on the screen. It also allows a person to interact with the keyboard alone and not just the mouse when they're navigating through the browser. So the screen reader I'm going to be using today is called NVDA, but it's worth noting that it's not the only screen reader available. For instance, if you're a Mac user, you can activate the one built in by hitting Command F5. So let's open this up real quick. So there's the sound of the screen reader. And I have slowed it down a little bit for today's demo, but most screen reader users would have it a little bit faster just so that they can get access to the information as quickly as possible. And as I said before, I'll be navigating with the keyboard today, and we're doing a demonstration using Service Console. So I'll be using a combination of shortcut keys that are built into Service Console for our power users, as well as some specific features that the screen reader gives us. You might also notice that there's a box around the text as I move from item to item, and that's also part of the demo just to show where the focus is on the screen. It kind of jumps around a little bit, and that's part of that screen reader functionality that I mentioned to allow me to get to what I need as quick as possible. So let's get started. When I come in, I'm looking at a list of cases here, and the first thing I'm going to do is jump to those cases and try to take a look at the priority to see how I want to begin the day.
List view controls menu button submenu list view controls. Display as table menu button submenus. Refresh button refresh. Edit list button edit list. Show charts toggle button not press. Show builders toggle button not press. Show builders. Table. Select item 1.
So here's the list of cases, and I'm just going to right arrow over to my priority column.
000010002 lock case number. Low edit priority. Item 1.
So this one is low.
Low edit priority. Item 2.
That's also low.
High edit priority. Item 3.
But that one says high. So I'm going to start there.
0000100. Alert. Loading.
And that's loaded the case. So now I'm going to tab over to the details and then use some screen reader functionality to arrow down.
Actions for 00. Post 0000. Case details link heading level 2.
And now you'll hear as I arrow down each thing that the cursor moves across.
Menu button submenu show available actions. List of 6 items case number. 0001026. Case order. Link add road deck. Button edit case order. Status. New. Button edit status. Priority. Button edit priority. Subject.
Here's the subject.
Have not received tracking information.
So the customer didn't receive the tracking information.
Button edit subject. Description.
And the description.
I recently placed an order and have not yet received the tracking information. Has my item shipped? Button edit description.
So it sounds like they placed the order but haven't yet gotten the tracking number, kind of concerned whether or not it's going to come. So I'm going to continue to arrow down into the contact detail area so that I get my customer's name, as well as the account, and I'll click through into that to try to find the tracking number for them.
Out of list heading level 2 graphic heading level 2 link contact details. Menu button submenu show available actions. List of 5 items name. William Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare.
Button edit name. Title. Button edit title. Account name. Link books upon books.
And here's the account, books upon books.
Application. Loading. Loading. Tab select and press spacebar to reload. 202.
So now that my account is loaded, I'm going to jump down to the opportunity section by using heading navigation, which is provided by the screen reader.
Post books upon books button. Out of list application. Follow button. List of 4 items new contact button new contact. We found no potential duplicates of this account. Contacts link heading level 2. Opportunities 1. Link heading level 2. List of 1 items case of printer paper link heading level 3.
And this looks like the order that they placed for a case of printer paper, so I'm going to open that.
Application. Loading. Loading. Tab select and press spacebar to reorder. 3 of 3.
And now to speed up the situation, I know that the tracking is in my details tab, so I'm going to use the screen reader find functionality to quickly get to that tab. And then again, I'll use the screen reader find function to look for the tracking number.
Post case of printer paper button close case. Out of list application. List of 4 items in the case button new case. New note button new note. Find dialog. Tap the text. Out of list tab details.
So now that's selected.
Find dialog. Paste. Find error dialog. Text tracking number.
Gotta spell that correctly.
Find dialog. Case of find error dialog. Case of printer paper sales. Find dialog.
Try this one more time.
List of 5 items tracking number. AFP 600.
Success.
Selected. B select. 6 select. 1 select. 2 selected.
So we'll just copy this to the clipboard so I have it later.
Copy to clipboard.
And now I'm going to use some power user shortcuts that were built into Service Console to quickly jump to the workspace tabs. And that's G followed by W for go to workspace tabs.
Application. Case 0000102.
I'll now reselect the case.
Actions for 0000. Post 0000102 button. Post 00. Application. Application. Opportunity case of print. Case 00001026 tab selected. Press space.
And now, when I get back to the details here, I'm again going to use find to look for my feed.
Document 1 3. Show available actions menu button sub. List. Add road. Add road. Find dialog. Sub. Out of list tab selected feed.
And that's selected. So now if I tab, my post should also be selected.
Tab control. Post tab selected. Post 1 of 2.
And William actually used the community, so I'm going to be able to respond directly in Chatter, but I first have to set the access.
Play. Salesforce only 1 of 2. All access 2 of 2.
And this way, everyone will see it who has access to this case.
Compose text section multi-line edit. Play.
Now that we're in the edit field, we'll just type a brief message. And we'll paste that
Section
in.
multi-line edit.
And now a built-in shortcut to send this of Control-Enter. So, just a brief demo there of what can be done with the Service Console using the accessibility that's built in. And again, the screen reader, that's something that the user will have. What we did was make it possible for that screen reader to work.
Exit NVDA dialog. What would you like?
And with that, we'll come back to the presentation. So the Lightning Design System, the Salesforce Lightning Design System is really the foundation of our Lightning components. And to go back to what Sunday was saying about the skyscraper, you wouldn't build one and then include an elevator, but you also wouldn't reinvent the functionality of the elevator each time you need one. And to bring that to web components, the Lightning components were designed to be reusable throughout your application. They were built with accessibility in mind so that you don't have to reinvent the accessibility each time, but just put it in place and use what we created for you. If you want to learn more about the Lightning Design System, visit lightningdesignsystem.com. At the top, there's a section on accessibility, and that walks through some interactive components that demonstrate how basic components can be used to put together more complex interactions. There's also a section on blueprints, which has the markup for each one of our Lightning components. And each blueprint has a section on accessibility, which walks through the keyboard interactions that are available, as well as the HTML that's necessary to make it work with a screen reader. So what's next for accessibility at Salesforce? And in a word, we think that's more. As Sunday said, the team has grown over the past year, and we expect that to continue. We also want to expand upon things like our documentation and help and training, like our how to use a Lightning with a screen reader. We want to expand upon our developer documentation to include more about accessibility, as well as in Trailhead. And coming soon, we're bringing a trail called Coding for Accessibility, which has the same great information that our internal engineers have when they first blaze their accessibility trail. And we especially want to think about research. The customers are the most important thing, and we want to stay in contact with you to find out how we can better put our efforts toward accessibility that will help you. So how can you stay in touch? One of the best ways is through our Trailblazer community Disability Topics, which you can find at sfdc.co/disability-topics. And that's a really great place for you to share your experience with other customers, as well as contact members of the accessibility team. And I mentioned research earlier. If you haven't yet, come visit us at the S3 Lodge at the Marriott on the Golden Gate level, where we have research scouts who are going to be able to help you sign up to be a part of our user research program, as well as a super awesome demo that contrasts an accessible experience that was designed with inclusive principles and one that probably needs a little bit of help. We also want you to take note of our Ability Force volunteers who've been around all week long, helping to bring accessibility to Dreamforce. And you can find out more about that at dreamforce.com/accessibility. But most important, we want to say a huge thank you. Thank you for being awesome customers. It's not possible to do any of this without you, and we need you to improve upon the accessibility. So thank you so much today for coming and learning about how Salesforce drives equality through accessibility and our products.